day and welcome back to Weekend Edition. This is Rehash, where we recap the big stories of the week, and I know who had a busy week. Nestor.
Yeah, Chris, one of the big stories that we were covering, of course, was the situation with the Guam Power Authority. GPA had a working session with the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, and they discussed what they're going to do in light of the, as everyone knows, the big explosion and fire that took out Cabras 3 and 4 units, which is 80 megawatts, more than 20% of the island-wide capacity. One of the things that they discussed was what they called an interruptible load plan. What that is they're going to ask the biggest power consumers, the hotels and the shopping centers, and even the Guam Airport Authority, to go off the grid and during peak times when they're going to need some extra capacity, and that will give them about 45 megawatts extra to play with. So they're going to meet with the hotels next week and then come back to the CCU and lay out the plan again for their approval.
So Ken, how about you?
Yeah, last week I spoke about the chemical castration bill passing by lawmakers, and this week Governor Eddie Calvo officially signed it into law. Guam will be the only territory, and I think one of 6, to adopt such an act. The bill, Bill 99 of the Chemical Castration for Sex Offenders Act, it is what it says. It will apply chemical castration to sex offenders who are eligible for parole or post-prison supervision. We spoke with the Department of Corrections, who supports the bill. The governor, however, says when in signing the bill there are concerns with costs, and we spoke with Senator Brant McCready's office, who say that it costs about $800 a day, or about $43,000 annually, to house an inmate, which is like 3 times more to conduct the hormone treatment. So we'll see what happens. The Guam Parole Board, in testimony submitted after the whole committee report was reported out, say that they do not support it, and both DOC and the Guam Parole Board are supposed to work on this together. So we'll see how it works moving forward.
How many people would be affected immediately?
Well, there's about, I think, 164 convicted sex offenders, and about 53 are up for parole in the next 3 years. So.
Okay, Issa?
Well, today I had a really interesting day. I woke up really early. We went hiking to the rediscovered Laddie Village in Meridian. It's actually on the closed portion of the wildlife refuge. So I took a guided tour with archaeologist Dr. Mike Carson, and he showed me some of the different ruins. You know, it was really interesting. You could see the homes. Some of the laddies, the bottom part of the laddies, are still standing. We see rows of laddies, like several homes that are in close proximity, so you can walk from one to another. And there's just pottery everywhere, and it was really interesting. The part that I found the most interesting was at the top of the cliff line. There was a laddie house with like really well-crafted stones. The other ones were a lot more coarse, and so some of the people were saying it looked like this may have been where the Mega Lahi or the Mega Haga lived. So it was just interesting getting some insight into the ancient history and how our ancestors may have lived.
That's pretty cool. And myself, I worked on a few big stories. Earlier this week, or actually on Friday or Thursday evening, 5 arrests were made into that Straight Outta Harmon video we all call. It's not really called that, but it depicted a street fight in Harmon, right outside our Harmon studios at the intersection during a red light, where a handful of men and a woman and a young boy jump out of the car, and they all engage in this fight. So on Thursday evening, 5 individuals were arrested, but only 4 were actually booked and confined. They were Steve Killen, Nena Nina, Thomas J. Cruz, and Anthony George Camacho. They're all arrested for rioting, and also Anna Rose Taikenko was booked and released. I also worked on another story. It was a viral dog video. It happened Friday morning. It depicted a man abusing a pair of pit bulls. It was really heart-wrenching to watch, and as of Friday news time, someone was apprehended and is being questioned by detectives. So more on that later. And if you have any stories you would like to submit, any news tips, you can email us at reporters@KUAM.com or Facebook message us, tweet us. We have all these different ways of contacting us, or you can just straight up pick up a phone and call us here in Harmon. Back more when Weekend Edition returns.